So we're here live on the Delivering Happiness bus with Tim O'Reilly from O'Reilly Media. We're actually rolling on the bus around South by Southwest, and we're going to talk to him a little bit about what inspires him and what he's all about. So we're here with Tim.
All right. So my company started out actually as a tech writing consulting company, became a computer book publisher, then became a conference producer. And what I realized somewhere along the way, looking back over my career, was what I was really doing was finding innovative edge communities that had a lot of spoken word knowledge, or shared knowledge that needed to be communicated to a wider audience. So for example, when we first started publishing about the World Wide Web, there were only 200 websites, and we said, this is super cool, we got to get the word out. Open source software, I pulled together what came to be called the Open Source Summit after I realized that all my best-selling books were about products that had no companies behind them and were getting no coverage in the traditional tech media. And not only that, I realized that a lot of the guys who were the heads of these projects didn't actually know each other. And so I brought them together to talk, and I later formalized that as a philosophy, that our goal as a company is to change the world by spreading the knowledge of innovators. I'm also really fascinated by the sensor revolution. We've been chronicling this in our magazine, Make Magazine, and with Maker Faire, and now there's all these businesses starting to crop up, stuff that would just seem like, hey, here are these weird people, playing, and now of course you look at smartphones, their sensor platforms, the Microsoft Kinect, all this stuff that seemed weird. When we published our book on OpenCV, the Open Computer Vision package, about 4 or 5 years ago, it was like people were blown, all the industry was blown away. How is this book a bestseller? But we could see that people were playing with computer vision, and it's how important it is. Of course, now we see this Google self-driving car, we see all these robotics applications, you see the Kinect, and they're going, oh, okay, I get it. There's this interesting progression from people hacking on things for fun and into business. And often a lot of where the sort of startup frenzy is actually behind the curve rather than ahead of the curve. The enthusiasts are the ones who are ahead of the curve. I think there's a revolution brewing in healthcare. There's a whole lot of, I think, really thoughtful design in some of the healthcare legislation for accountable care, where you can imagine Medicare becoming more like Google, where we'll start to have data feedback on what works and what doesn't, and where we're going to start changing the reimbursement systems in Medicare so that we pay more for the things that work and less for the things that don't. And this could lead to real revolution, because there of course is a big problem that we have as a society. We're spending too much money on healthcare. There's too many parasites in the system, and we have not had mechanisms for combating that. And we're starting to see a way forward where we could apply technology to change that system. I think the great companies really do think about society. And even companies that now we might look down at, like we look at the auto industry, and they're kind of the bad guys. And yet you look at what Henry Ford did, it's like in the way he thought systemically about, oh wait, the workers have to make better wages so they can afford the product. They're also going to be the consumers of our product. He invented the 40-hour work week, the weekend, so people would have time to go on auto excursions. All these kinds of things that were just brilliant systemic thinking. We have an awful lot of people who are doing very, very narrow optimization, which leads to systemic degradation. The financial market's a great example of that. And one of my watchwords that I try to urge on entrepreneurs is to create more value than you capture, and to make sure that companies are thinking about how much value they're letting escape, as well as to other people, as well as how much they're getting for themselves. I think a lot these days about the big bubble that we're all in. People look at maybe we're in a tech bubble again or whatever, but it's really important to realize how much our entire society is in a bubble. We've been living on cheap fossil fuel for a couple of past century at least. It's led to some amazing results. It's really easy to imagine that things are just going to get better and better, and it'll be super cool, and won't the future be wonderful? But there are definitely some dark futures ahead of us. And again, a good reason to work on stuff that matters. because we may not have the luxury of working on trivia. And I'd love just to have people take seriously that we need to make a better world.